Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella, and we're pleased to be joined in the studio again by our friend Dick Morris. Always a pleasure to see you, Dick.
Good to be here, Ashley.
The deal Obama struck to keep tax rates right where they are for 2 years, and the unemployment benefit extension for 13 months. Now, the left is furious about that, and the right doesn't like it either. Is this an example, Dick, of the triangulation that you convinced Bill Clinton to use after the 94 route for him to get elected in 1996?
Now, I don't think that Robert E. Lee was triangulating with the Ulysses Grant at Appomattox. This is a surrender. This isn't an accommodation. He's not moving to the center. He's fleeing to the center. And the White House is busy trying to dress it up as being, a compromise, and he's listening to both sides. But the Democrats have it right. This is a total rout and surrender. The other guy blinked.
But does this help or hurt Obama for his re-election chances?
I think that it decreases his chances of getting reelected because it sets the precedent of retreat, surrender. I think it increases the possibility of a primary fight, and I think it begins to add to the element of weakness that I think is increasingly dominating his image.
As far as the tax agreement goes itself, you have senators on the left like Bernie Sanders and some on the right like Jim DeMint saying they do not support this tax plan. Now, is there a chance it could be killed in Congress?
I don't think it can be killed. I think it'll pass. But I think that the important point is that the seeds of opposition that are being laid now by the Democrats in the Senate and in the House are going to sprout and potentially grow into primary fights against Obama.
Now, Dan Rather says the fact that Obama capitulated to Republicans to include everybody in the tax extension means he's almost certain to face a primary challenge in 2012.
Yeah.
Do you see it that way? And if so, who might challenge him?
I think it's early to say almost certain, but I think it certainly is more likely now. And the anger that's building up on the left is fairly profound. And I think initially the challenger will be some way over radical like Kucinich or Feingold. But then if they begin to get traction and they begin to get vote share, then I think you may see Hillary getting in.
Another tax matter, the tax hikes included in the Debt and Deficit Commission report. Now, even though Commission Chairman Bowles and Simpson did not get enough votes to have their recommendations adopted, you have a bone to pick with some Republicans on that panel.
Yeah, there are 3 Republicans, 1 retiring, Judd Gregg, can't do anything about him, but 2 that are still there. Mike Crapo from Idaho and Tom Coburn from Oklahoma. Now, Crapo and Coburn say they're conservatives. They all signed no tax pledges. Then they got reelected 4 weeks ago, both of them 4 weeks ago. Didn't breathe a word to the voters about tax increases. And then they turn right around and endorse this huge tax package. It almost doubles the amount that more people are going to have to pay on their mortgages because it almost eliminates that deduction. It increases the rates. It's ridiculous, and it increases your Social Security tax by 50%. And they endorsed this, but they kept it secret from their voters. And if you all go to my website, dickmorris.com, I list the mailing addresses, the fax numbers, and the phone numbers for Crapo and Coburn. And I really urge you to do that. We can't let them get away with it. We need to keep the Republicans solid against tax hikes.
One of the cuts called for in the report is the elimination of the home mortgage interest tax deduction. Now, with the housing market still in the tank, what effect will that have on home sales and property value?
Catastrophic. They don't completely eliminate it. What they do is replace it with a 12% tax credit. So let's say you have $1,000 a month that you pay on your mortgage, and let's say you're in the 25% tax bracket. That means that you pay $12,000 a year on your mortgage, and you get $3,000 back from the federal government, a quarter of that. Under the new bill, you'll only get 12% of it back. You'll only get $1,440 back. So you're going to end up paying over $1,500 more for your $100,000 mortgage. That's going to discourage home sales. It's going to discourage home construction. It'll prolong the recession.
Republicans are lining up their incoming House Committee Chairman. Michigan Representative Fred Upton won the contest to lead the powerful House Energy and Commerce Committee. Now, Upton was the co-author of legislation banning ordinary light bulbs, incandescent bulbs. Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck both call him a socialist. Your take, and is Upton a good choice?
Well, I hate the new light bulbs. My wife and I can't read with them, literally can't read. You have to have a flashlight. And to ban the other light bulbs was outrageous, particularly since the new ones, as I understand it, are made in China. Now, Upton is having a hearing next week to consider repealing the ban that he supported, so he might be getting some religion, but I think that's a poor choice.
With the Democrats still in control of the Senate and the White House, the new Republican majority will be hampered in trying to pass much of its agenda. But there are things it can do. What would you like to see the Republicans do?
Now, what the House can do is it can take the spending cuts, the no new taxes, the defunding of Obamacare, the defunding of the EPA's right to impose cap and trade administratively, and the earmarks fight, and put that all into the budget and also or into a debt limit extension bill, and then play hardball, play a game of chicken with Obama. And I think we learned this week that he is a chicken.
Should Michael Steele be kept on as RNC chairman when it goes to a vote in January?
No. Steele's a good man, but he's done a bad job. I was out there with a lot of people fighting on the hustings like crazy for seat after seat, and the RNC was nowhere. Karl Rove was effectively the RNC chairman because he was really spending a lot of money and working hard at it. The locus of power here shifted from the RNC to independent expenditures, and a good chairman wouldn't have necessitated that.
All right, there's a good chance that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange could be extradited to the U.S. to face espionage charges. Has Obama moved aggressively with Assange, and how damaging are those leaks to the U.S. in your opinion?
I don't think he's moved aggressively. I think he's hid under the table, and he's let it be Hillary's scandal, much like Clinton let Reno take the rap for Waco. And I think that Obama's real happy about it being Hillary's scandal. In terms of the damage to U.S. security, I think there was some, certainly, and I hold him liable and culpable, and I do not want to enshrine him as a hero. But I will point out that the real problem is what the cables revealed. When you have a diplomatic corps that you're using as an espionage force, when you're backing a regime in Afghanistan where the vice president decamps with $50 million in a briefcase in cash, when you're friendly with the Saudis while you're finding out that they're covertly financing al-Qaeda, that's a problem with your foreign policy. And the fact that he kicked over the rock and we saw what was underneath, don't blame the guy who kicked it, blame what's under the rock.
So you wouldn't call for Assange to go to the gallows?
Not gallows. I think he should go to prison.
Okay. Frank Gaffney calls the new START treaty defective. Now, 11 of the newly elected senators have implored the Senate to hold off voting on it until they are seated. Obama wants the lame duck session to pass it. How do you feel about this?
I think that they should wait until the new Congress comes. I think it deserves a lot of scrutiny. I think that we have to understand that Russia has become our enemy again, and the attempt to make it our friend by treaties will be as ineffective now as it was then. The reason we won the Cold War was not that we concluded a brilliant agreement, it's that we beat them by having a better economy. And let's realize something fundamental. The key to stopping Russian power is not treaties or controls. It's getting rid of our oil dependency.
And finally, Iran says it's now mining its own uranium and that its nuclear activities will continue. Is time running out for Israel, do you think?
Well, obviously it is running out, but you just don't know the facts on it. I mean, when an Iranian nuclear scientist gets killed by a car bomb, that is not like a defective muffler, you know. Somebody put it there. And when the sanctions that are being imposed by the United States are clearly, for the first time, working in cutting back Iranian access to energy development and to bank financing. Now, one doesn't know how effective all of that is, how effective the sabotage campaign is, and the sanctions are. I basically trust Netanyahu, though, to make the correct decisions on this, because I know that he values overwhelmingly stopping Iran from getting the bomb. That's his sine qua non. And I'm kind of in a feeling period where I'm prepared to go along with his leadership on it. Also, you never know what deal he's cooking. He may be trading land not for peace, which is illusory, but for the U.S. toughness vis-a-vis Iran, which would not be.
Dick Morris, as always, pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Great.
Appreciate it. And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.